Alright YouTube, so I want to make this video. It's a little bit different than the other videos that I made, but it's summer right now and it's really hot, so I've been using these kind of things. Well, I've been thinking about it for a while and I kind of just went nuts and bought all these at one time. And these aren't the only ones that are out there, but these are just a few that I bought and went through. And I want to explain some of the pros and cons of each of them and why you should or shouldn't buy these. I'm going to start with the cheapest one first, but first of all, none of these come with like an actual charger. They only come with like a USB, like a micro USB cable like this, and you got to find your own USB plug or wall adapter or whatever for it. But I'm gonna start with the cheapest one first, then move up from there. And the cheapest one that we have is this one right here. And this one I paid about $7 with the battery. And now these are just like little fans. You just push the button and it spins. I'm sure you guys are familiar. I've seen those like older school style ones that like run off of AA batteries, and they come with like a spray bottle mister or something like that. But anyway, these are the new generation, I guess you could say, of those, but they're powered by 18650 batteries. And this particular one was $7, and it came with that 18650 battery. And it's a really crappy battery. These particular fans kind of fold like this, and they come in different colors. And this really cheap $7 one has imbalanced propeller or fan blades on top there, so it kind of makes a lot of noise. Let me see if you can hear it. You can kind of hear like rattling around, and it kind of vibrates a lot. And also the battery inside the compartment, this battery compartment here, it gets kind of hot when this thing runs. And the airflow that comes out of this thing is kind of wide and weak, so it's not really powerful for how fast the fan is spinning and how much noise it's making. And this particular fan didn't come with any rubber feet, so like it has little spaces over there for the rubber feet, but this particular one didn't come with any feet, so I had to kind of make it out of this like double stick tape kind of stuff, and you can see one of them fell off already. But without it, this thing just kind of slides all over the table, and it's just awful. And you can see on here on the flex point, when this thing kind of pivots like this, it'll lock into place and you flip it back open. But you can see maybe the exposed wiring inside there. That's really thin gauge wiring, and it looks really crappy. So I'd imagine that place is going to break first on this particular fan if it doesn't catch on fire first or something like that. And yeah, the battery life with that included crappy 18650 is really abysmal. I think this thing barely will last an hour with that on high setting. So not that great, but it does charge super fast, but it doesn't last very long. Next up, the most in the price, this one was it's called the Opolar brand, or Opolar, I don't know how you pronounce that. It's a Chinese junk. But anyway, this one was $13 about, and it came with a battery in it too. And this is a more legit 18650. You can see, oh, actually this isn't the battery that came with it, but it came with a better 18650 that actually runs pretty well. It's pretty comparable to these more expensive 18650s that I have inside there right now. And this one is supposed to be a foldable one like this, but as you can see, I kind of got this thing on it because this hinge broke just from folding it. Like a day after I got it, the hinge just broke, and it's a really crappy design. But you can see the wires are actually braided or stranded, so it's less likely to break than these other cheap crappy ones inside there. But otherwise, the hinge already broke, so I can't even use it as like a stick like this one. You can't do like that with this particular one anymore, so that's out of the question. But the redeeming thing with this particular fan is actually this fan can move a lot of air. So let's turn it on. These are all 3-speed fans, so they'll have like a low, medium, and high. But under high, this thing can move a lot of air, and it's pretty quiet. I mean, you can hear the thing going right now, but it's pretty quiet relative to these other ones. So here, let me get this one going. And you can hear this one's like chattering, and it just makes more noise. And this one has like a crappy little light on it too. I don't know why they did that at all. But this particular fan moves a lot of air. You can feel it around the top. It moves a lot of air, and it works well and lasts pretty long for what it does. And they're really easy to position. This one, you can see that has the rubber feet on top here. So it's really easy to prop this guy up on a table or wherever you need it to stand it up and aim it wherever you need. And this particular one, yeah, like I said, has really good battery life. It probably lasts around 4 hours on high. And the nice thing is that it does have a removable 18650. So let's turn that one off, move to the next one. And this one is, I believe, Tutuko or some kind of weird Chinese brand name like that too. But this one, it kind of looks similar to these in that it's a stick battery. I mean, it's got like the stick design to it. It's also a 3-speed, but this one does not have any kind of removable battery. It's rechargeable using the micro USB port as well, but it's not rechargeable. I mean, you can't remove the battery and just pop in another 18650. And it originally said this on the listing that this was a 4000 milliamp hour battery in there, but this thing moves about the same amount of air and lasts about the same amount of time as this one with a 2 or 3000 milliamp battery. So I think that's kind of BS. It's probably not that high. Yeah, like I said, it has similar power and movement. Let's see, to this Opolar black one here. So the amount of air that thing pushes and like the shape of the air that comes out of it is real similar to this, but it is slightly louder, more high pitched of a noise than the Opolar fan is. The blades are a slightly different design. There's like a little mini blades in this one, and this one doesn't have those mini blades. So that particular design, I think, keeps the noise down and keeps the shape nice. This one has like, this is kind of a rubbery base and has a little lanyard loop so you can kind of put it on your wrist if you want, which is kind of nice. But otherwise, this thing is a little bit difficult to stand up, like when you put it on a table. And when you got it on high, it has a kind of gyroscopic effect, like, you know, when you're riding a bike, when the wheels are spinning, it wants you to keep spinning. So if you kind of rotate it, you can kind of feel a slight gyroscopic effect. And when you put it on a table, that same gyroscopic effect can kind of want to tip this thing over just a little bit, because it's not, unless that table is perfectly flat. So keep that in mind. Let's see, and then we'll move on to the last one here. This is also made by Opolar. It's the same brand as this one. Got this one on, these two on Amazon, and these two came from eBay. Actually, no, this one came from eBay. These three all came from Amazon. And this is supposed to be a waist clip-on fan. So you see this over here is supposed to go on your waist, and this end over here is supposed to clip into your shirt. So you're supposed to like tuck your shirt underneath that, and then clip this onto your waist so that it draws air in from the bottom and spits it up your shirt to cool you. It's a really good idea, but in practice, not so much, because you can see how fat this thing is, and it's kind of bulky. And this thing is really bulky. And when you clip this thing onto your waist, I'd rather carry a fully loaded gun than carry this, because this is really awkward. It's so fat. Look at how fat that is. It just sticks out a lot. So when you put that on top of your waist, it just makes a huge bulge in your shirt. Not to mention it's blowing air up your shirt at the same time. This one was $25. So this one was 10, this was 12, this was 7, and this was 25. So this is considerably a bit more. And this black part is made out of aluminum, so it's a little weird, but it's always kind of cool to the touch. And the air that it moves out of this fan is actually really cool. But the design is kind of like a laptop fan. Looks kind of like a snail shell, I guess, inside there, and it blows it out of this outlet here. But the problem is that you can kind of hear that whistle or kind of high-pitched noise. So these things are pretty loud. So if you're in a quiet environment, this is kind of a no-go, because it just sounds like you got a Dyson vacuum cleaner following you around all the time. So there's pros and cons to everything, but it does move a lot of air. The battery on this one does last around the same amount of time as these guys do, which is around like 4 hours on high and maybe 6 to 10 on the lower settings. And this thing really does move a lot of air, and it's really good in concept, but it really needs to be thinner. The inlet could be redesigned, because it's really easy when you bend over or sit down or everything to just block this end or block this end, and then it's not moving any air and just wasting battery life, and probably could burn it out quick. But the outlet design seems to make some kind of a whistle, and maybe this could be redesigned, and this portion redesigned, and the thing to be just have an overall thinner footprint. Now this isn't the newest model. They have one more that has, it's kind of the same design or similar idea as this. It blows the air out the top, but it's meant more as a neck fan, so it has kind of like a lanyard thing that goes over the top, and the inlet is in the front, so it's meant for you to wear like on your chest and blow the air upwards at you. I really wasn't going for that, because I didn't want anything on my neck. I want to just rather have something on my waist that you can clip on, but yeah, like I said, this thing is just too bulky to actually work well in practice. Now, if you're just standing up, it's fine. But if you're moving around and anything like that, it's not going to be ideal for you. and you can't like leave it standing up on a table like this. You're gonna have to leave it like this or like this, and depending on what angle it's at, you can leave it on top of a table and have it working and blowing in the correct direction and doing just fine. But it is really loud. The fit and finish is pretty nice though. It is. I did drop it a few times and it seems pretty solid. But yeah, the reason I dropped it is because look, this clip is like a piece of junk. This thing is definitely gonna break off fast, and it's already kind of sagging and losing some of its tension. And this one over here doesn't really do a good job of holding your shirt in there. You kind of have to bunch your shirt up and in order to get it to sit under there. But maybe you can get it to work. I just don't recommend it completely, just because it is so much more expensive than these other ones, and the advantage really isn't there. It doesn't work as well as it should. Some notes, like I said, these ones are non-rechargeable, or all these are rechargeable, but these ones don't have removable batteries, whereas these do. So the advantage there is that you can have a whole bunch of 18650s and just like have this guy powered all the time. So you just take those batteries out, just swap it out once it's dead. Usually I use a charger like this. This kind of it's a night core charger. This thing charges all kinds of batteries, but you can put 4 18650s on here and have them all charged up at the same time. And I don't know if I said this or not already, but these particular 18650s in here are flat tops. So you can see this is like I don't know how to pronounce that, Basin or Basin, but anyway, this is another Chinese brand, but these are meant for like vape batteries. But you have to have flat top batteries because the button top ones don't fit inside here, which is kind of crummy because I got flashlights and whatever. I'll take both of these, but these you have to buy flat tops in order for them to work in these particular fans. It's kind of, I mean, hopefully they have some kind of protection that you don't put it in the wrong direction and then it doesn't just fry the little motherboard inside there. But I don't know. I haven't put it in the wrong direction. I don't want to start a fire. But like that, like I said, the flat top batteries, the button ones can't fit. All these fans are kind of louder than I would like. If you're thinking about taking this to like a wedding, to church, or any kind of outdoor activity that has somebody speaking, or there's some kind of need to be quiet, these aren't going to work well. I tried to take this to a wedding and it ended up not working well because it just makes too much noise. I mean, this thing literally sounds like you're vacuum cleaning your house when you're running it, so that's pretty distracting. But if you're at like a carnival, you're at like an outdoor thing. We took this to the there's a farm fair where they have all like the farm animals competitions for biggest in show and those kind of things and whatever. And this works great for that because it's loud, it's outdoors, and you can just run these full blast. And it does work better than fanning yourself. I mean, if you've ever gone to a wedding or church and you've seen somebody get the pamphlet out and start fanning themselves, obviously that's not going to work real well because efficiencies, right? You're going to exert more energy than you can possibly cool yourself off by doing that. And this defeats that because you don't have to exert any energy other than holding it there, and it will cool you off just fine. But anyway, in conclusion, I'm gonna have to recommend this fan if it had a better hinge system, because this thing works the best as a fan. And the battery system being removable, you can run this thing all day, all night. If you have maybe 3 batteries, you could just rotate them because they do take a while. I mean, it takes anywhere from probably 4 hours to charge these things up to full capacity. Except for the cheap crappy battery that's in here. This thing charges in like 30 minutes. It's just a piece of junk. But the other ones will take around 4 hours to charge up the capacity. So you really got to take that into consideration, because once these things go dry, like these go dry, they'll run with them plugged in, but you have to have it plugged in, so that defeats the whole portable nature of it. And this one you'll just be able to swap it out. But as it stands, the quality of this one, it was only $10 and lasts 4 hours on high, 6 to 10 on low, moves a good amount of air. It's only slightly louder than this one, and it just feels a little bit better built than this one does, even though this one works better. As it stands now, I'm gonna have to recommend this $10 Tutuko one, as I've used these for about a month or so, and this particular one is the one that I kind of use the most just because it works the best. And you really have to just make sure that you got it propped up in a good place, or you got it seated in a good place, because this thing will just tip over on its own and kind of fall over the place. And if they can improve the design of this one, I'll buy another one. If they can make it thinner, not as loud, better design on this spout, and the better inlet design for the air, I would take it. I'm not buying that neck one because you can't use that neck one really well as a waist clip-on one. But they still advertise it as a waist clip-on one. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys bought, how much you guys paid for you guys fans. I'll catch you guys next time.